Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to The Prize Inside, the 1% Tribe Edition. Tonight, we're going to go over some pretty cool stuff. So with that said, before we get started, because it's one of my top people, like my top Gregg Braden and Dr. Bruce Lipton, both in a combination. And what we're going to do tonight is begin the process of epigenetics from both sides. Okay. So I adore all of their writing. In fact, one of the coolest things about this whole thing, Bruce Lipton, is a guy I actually got to meet. He took over our class in chiropractic school for, I think it was a month, where he actually taught the course. And so it was pretty cool, constantly evolving, with the discovery of what epigenetics is. And I think in Gregg Braden and Bruce Lipton and a guy named Joe Dispenza, they all three get together quite often in different aspects. And I just wanted to go over it's so important to understand what they are saying in the world of epigenetics that I really wanted to make kind of a series of podcasts on their writings and stuff. And so that's what we're going to do. This will be episode 1 of Gregg Braden and Bruce Lipton together. From there, we're going to go into, how we kind of do thoughts, toxins, trauma. As we go, I'm going to put together episode 2, 3, 4, those kind of things. So it kind of flows. And then because of all of my people getting me up to 80 subscribers on Rumble, remember this. If you would go and subscribe The Prize Inside a Chiropractor's Journey on Rumble, The Prize Inside a Chiropractor's Journey on YouTube, any of those two, you would be fantastic. Also, if you want a newsletter, kind of a transcript overwrite of like what we talk about so you don't miss anything, or if you do, you can kind of watch through Tribe1, trib1.substack.com. I want to appreciate all of my people. It's crazy on Rumble. I'm over I have 10,000 views almost, which is crazy because that's the earliest. My downloads on podcasting have been fantastic as well. We've gotten to, all right, I'm going to have to go save a dog real quick, but we got up to 5,000 downloads. So I'm really pumped about that. But remember tribe1.substack.com, and I will be back before we begin. So stay right there. Yeah, sorry about that. Olive, it's so nice out right now. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. We got a lot of stuff done the last 2 days. I'm learning how to smoke meat. This is something new for me. I know a lot of guys out there will be embarrassed that I have never done that, but I cannot wait. I'm studying it right now. I think pork butt or something is going to be my first one. Ribs sound delightful though. So we're trying to get to that place where it'll be really, really good. So it takes a little bit of studying. So with that said, let us get going on Bruce Lipton. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. It's one of the neatest things, epigenetics, to come in our lifetime and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Like the science of it is really such a big game changer. And we really, really need to, you know, hit that area very well. Oh my God. My dogs are going to drive me nuts tonight. So that's fantastic. All right. So here we go. So this is Gregg Braden and Bruce Lipton, and it's going to be talking about how beliefs control your health and your healing. Gregg Braden created the book, many books. This is just one of them, Spontaneous Healing of Belief. You can get that on iTunes, the Audible and all those kind of things. I definitely recommend it. And The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. Those are both huge, huge books. They have tons of books on this, actually, on this subject. But I want to tell you why it's important. So the big thing is, as a chiropractor, seeing it firsthand all the time, when you remove the body's interferences, right? And our biggest healthcare focus is on, what I say, toxins and trauma, right? So we talk about, there's three. There's thoughts, there's toxins, and there's trauma. Many of us understand and can accept, hey, I'm my body's not responding to this type of food. The electromagnetic radiation of a computer is causing my cells to have issues. I fell. I work a job that's super heavy, all the time physically. And so I'm sorry about the dog. It'll be everybody's going crazy tonight. So, but a lot of times when that happens, right, the biggest thing is like we don't look at the thoughts as much as causing physical pain, physical manifestations, sicknesses. Okay. And so when that occurs, a lot of times we want to dive in, even in a chiropractic sense, of these situations, but it takes a little bit to get there, right? So like in thoughts, the biggest thing in my world is just making sure that people recognize and understand high stress times in somebody's life could potentially cause their actual sicknesses. And that's what kind of tonight's about, is understanding all of these things are cause interference to the body's ability to heal itself. And we have to understand that. And once we understand that, it opens our world of possibilities for healing. And I think that is the neatest part of the whole thing. As a chiropractor, and in my practice, I see it all the time. And a lot of times when you focus in on, these different things, let's say somebody's not getting better, their food. Let's say we fix all the things and we're still not feeling up to where we're at. I can give you numerous times where something just didn't jive right. So I'm going to give you a story of a guy named John. So John was a police officer years ago that I took care of. And he had, lower back pain with the sciatic nerve that you guys hear about quite a bit. So this lower back pain, sciatic nerve was terrible. Situation was awful. We get him out of it though pretty quickly. He's in good shape, those kind of things, and he's feeling pretty good after just a few adjustments. So he starts going, understanding chiropractic, getting in on a regular basis. So he starts going, and I want to say it was like 6 to 8 months later, all is good, and then one day it's not. And I'm going, what? It's like, he goes, the whole thing came back. The low back started irritating and all those things. Now, this is a pretty healthy guy that would work out on a regular basis, do all these things. So I asked him if anything had changed, and he's like, not really, normal working out, exercise, all those things. So I was like, man, that is so crazy. Well, sometimes there's a test in our office where we can kind of muscle test you, or sometimes you can use a leg length thing. So I'm curious, and I go through my stuff, and one thing that pops up is that thoughts were getting in his way of something, right? So it's something that we can check quite a bit and see, okay, is this condition something related to that? And I was like, so I asked the body and it says, ask the question. So I said, hey, is anything going on at like home or something high stress other than, what's going on? And he goes, oh, yeah, there's a lot going on. I go, what's that? He goes, well, his daughter lived in a different state, and his daughter calls him crying because the boyfriend had punched her. And he, of course, she called the police down there, but he was so upset, which most dads would be. He was going to go down there and confront the boyfriend. And I was like, well, you got a few more years of retirement. You would hate to jeopardize that. So just breathe while you're driving down there to see your daughter and make sure you do the right thing. But I looked right at him and go, that's where this back pain came from. Is what do you mean? I go, the energy of being that emotional baggage, that thought that just overwhelmed your mechanism, popped your circuit. He goes, that's what interfered, not allowing your body to return to that natural health, causing your low back to happen. It's like, oh, that makes sense actually, because it didn't make sense to him, right? So it made more sense that the actual thought caused it, and he never had it again in that aspect, right? You always have low back and all those kind of things, but once he understood what's so powerful about the thought aspect is that once you understand it, there's actually no need to understand it to the depths of what it is, just knowing that it could happen, right? And that variable could be the reason the healing's not taking place. So remember that as we go forward. So Gregg Lipton and Bruce Lipton, Gregg Braden and Bruce Lipton, two of my favorite authors, and we're going to kind of mix and meld their teachings together so that we can go through this. Okay. All right. Let's go into the next one. So yep, we did that one. All right. I'm trying to okay. So let's go into all right. So we did okay. So let's do so who are these guys? So who's Gregg Braden, who's Bruce Lipton? I did a pretty good job on them. But okay. So these guys are Gregg Braden is a former geologist and computer systems designer turned visionary. He spent decades bridging ancient spiritual wisdom, quantum science, and human potential. His books like Spontaneous Healing of Belief, Resilience from the Heart, the Wisdom Codes, and Pure Human show us how to live our greatest healing. Dr. Bruce Lipton is a cellular biologist and former medical school professor. That's what I met him when he was done with the medical school professing. His landmark book, The Biology of Belief, revolutionized how we see the body more than most people understand. He's a pioneer in epigenetics, and we'll talk about that. This is the science showing our environment and perceptions control our gene expression. So if you remember in epigenetics is the idea that our body is basically full of these genes. These genes are basically programs on a computer, but you can have hundreds of programs on your computer. They just don't all have to be expressed at the same time. That's where epigenetics comes in. What is dictating the amount of what these genes express or which genes get expressed are always based on environment, the environment with which we live, and the perceptions of our environment or our outside world. So if we take it into our innate intelligence perspective, our 1% tribe kind of look at things. When we look at things, we have this innate intelligence, and we're adapting to the universal intelligence outside. So always think of that. So like as we go, remember innate intelligence is the internal AI, so you speak, or all the cells of the body are intelligent, right? So we have this intelligence within, does all the systems, beats your heart without you knowing, cellular movement, moves your muscles, all of those things without you having to think about each one of those. That's the innate intelligence of the human body. That innate intelligence is designed to take on the universal intelligence that is, we could say, nature. So let's say the easiest one I think of is the law of physics. Okay. So the law of physics has gravity. Our innate intelligence, when we were babies, decided that because we're in a gravitational force, we're going to build strong bones, strong muscles so that we can stand upright. That's an innate intelligence designed to the universal force or the universal intelligence of the universe, right? So we have these physics principles that our body has to adapt to maintain us on it between the two, making this perfect union. Okay. Epigenetics is how our bodies basically, in our innate intelligence, we have all these programs that are ready to go. They're ready to fire. They're ready to be turned on as a program. Think of, all right, you may not need Microsoft Excel as a spreadsheet right now, but it's on there. It's ready to go. So the moment you need that Excel spreadsheet off of your computer, you can grab it, right? And so that's what epigenetics is. So you have this innate intelligence that's allowed to express whatever genetics that is there, if that makes sense, hopefully. But the idea is that we have this inborn ability, but the thing that turns on and off and allows this genetic expression to happen is two things that we did not think were possible. Our environment tells us what genetics are going to be expressed, plus the perceptions of that gene, that control through gene expression. So in the sense, before we always thought genes turn on, turn off, it's over. So genes turn on and that's all we got, right? So that genes is it, that's it. It must be a genetic code. Your parents gave it to you, that's it. In reality, that's not true at all. And one of the things is some of these gene expressions or what we turn on, oh, it's genetic, right? Arthritis is genetic. Not necessarily. It depends on if it gets turned on or off. And the perceptions and our environment allow that expression to happen. Hopefully that is making sense because epigenetics is the next phase of the world, in my opinion. So these two, Gregg Braden and Dr. Bruce Lipton, have collaborated for years, sharing stages and workshops with a bunch of different people in front of millions of people. I am begging. I almost have Bruce Lipton. I think I got a shot at getting him on my podcast, which would be huge. But the idea is they're really talking about the body being a self-healing when all the interferences are removed. But they're using the limiting beliefs as one of the biggest things, right? Chiropractic uses creating the spine, removing the interferences from the spine and nervous system. Bruce Lipton and Gregg Braden and Joe Dispenza are saying, what if we released and made sure that our thoughts, our patterns of thoughts are unlimited? Because if we can unlimit them, we have a shot for really, really big healing. Okay. All right. So hopefully this is going well because I love this subject. Okay. So on this one, you can see the old paradigm. Okay. So let me see if I can get this a little bigger. Hang on, guys. Okay. So traditional versus new biology. Okay. So let's kind of break it down this way. You have a control center, right? So in the cell, you have this DNA and nucleus. The DNA is what is in contention in this. The DNA is where all your genetic code is stored, all those things. The new paradigm is called epigenetics. Before it was called genetic determinism. Genetic determinism is your genes, they're there, you turn them on, whatever you had in your family is what you got. Okay. So that would be in the nucleus and DNA. The new paradigm, which is through the epigenetics, is that the cell membrane and the cell's perception of the environment is actually what is the control center. Isn't that fantastic? That it's so different. It's so different, which gives you another thing. It gives you this unlimited potential on our earth. We just have to find out how to expand upon it. Okay. So the mechanism they use is genetic predestination. So like what we're talking about, you're predestined to have the genes you have. And then the new paradigm is that if we can change the environmental signals and the response to those signals, maybe, just maybe, we don't have to have the same genes that we did prior to. We're the old paradigm is we're a victim of the hereditary, right? In this new paradigm, we can be masters of our own biology, which is huge. Huge, guys. It's like epic. And there's not too many things on the face of this planet that we can literally say these things. So we look at the physics piece. Is the old paradigm is kind of stuck in this what they call Newtonian physics, which is the matter, and those kind of things, where the new paradigm, and we're going to talk a lot of that in the next few episodes as we go, is in the quantum and the energy belief. Quantum right now is a little in the hokey stages, in the sense of people don't really take it serious right now. But when you understand that you can fly a drone with a headband and understand that you actually have this energetic consciousness, you have this biofield, you have all of these things. Okay. Once we understand and really embrace these, that biology of belief is going to take it to another level. Okay. So just to understand where we're coming from tonight, hopefully you guys will enjoy it, the rest of this. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple quotes actually from Gregg Braden and a few from Dr. Bruce Lipton, and give you some more ideas of this. Central idea number 1. This is from Gregg Braden. Beliefs are the software that programs your reality and your biology. Gregg Braden puts it beautifully. We are never more than a belief away from our greatest love, deepest healing, and most profound miracles. We are never more than a belief away from our greatest love, deepest healing, and most profound miracles. And this one is a quote from Spontaneous Healing of Belief. Just the way sound creates visible waves as it travels through a droplet of water, our belief waves ripple through the quantum fabric of the universe to become our bodies in the healing, abundance, and peace, or disease, lack, and suffering that we express in life. Let me read that one more time. Just the way sound creates visible waves as it travels through the deepest droplet of water, our belief waves ripple through the quantum fabric of the universe to become our bodies and the healing, abundance, peace, or it can be disease, lack, and suffering that we experience in life. Huge, huge pieces. That's what tonight's all about, right? If we can actually get out of our own way in our thought processes, allow these feelings to get away that we can actually do. We have to actually believe that we can do the healing ourselves. Beliefs aren't just thoughts. They carry emotional charge and act as commands in a conscious universe. That is so huge, right? And this is one reason I love these guys, because it makes complete sense. So now let's look at a couple quotes from Bruce Lipton. But remember this one. Remember this last thing. Beliefs aren't just thoughts. Beliefs are not just thoughts. They carry emotional charge and act as commands in a conscious universe, literally giving your body conscious control. Okay. So now Bruce Lipton brings the cellular science to the game, and with these quotes: the secret of life is belief rather than genes. It is our beliefs that control our lives. Bruce Lipton. And then the last one: our beliefs control our bodies, our minds, and thus our lives. Okay. So those are both from Dr. Bruce Lipton. Biggest thing to understand is beliefs are so much more powerful than you could possibly imagine, in the sense that, think about how easy it is to see the wrong move of a Twinkie. You're going and buying a Twinkie and you're going to put it in your mouth. Okay. That physical manifestation of that Twinkie and understanding that it's probably not the best move for you health wise, you can physically see it and manifest it. Okay. What I want to talk to you about, and the reason why I want to do a 4-part series of this, is understanding that the thoughts that we do, the negativities, those bigger, deeper, darker, things that get us in our way at work, at home, in our healing, all of these things lead us to a moment where it's just like eating a Twinkie. Bad thoughts give you the same kind of energy problems that a Twinkie would, right? Deciding to, do mountain climbing when you haven't trained in the trauma department would give you some negative repercussions, right? Or chronically doing the same work over and over again without any kind of change gives you these different chronic trauma issues. The big thing is understanding that thoughts do the same thing. So thinking the same thought over and over and over again, right? But here's the kicker that always drives me crazy. You must understand that you have to give yourself a break, because all of us grew up this way. All of us grew up, and the one that I will bring up the most is, when did mom and dad pay the most attention? When did mom and dad pay the absolute most attention to you as a little tiny kid? When you were sick. When you were sick. Okay. So what happens with my child when they're sick? Sometimes that sickness, they're a little over exaggerated when they're little, right? And the reason they're over exaggerated is because they see that they have your attention, right? Now, you extrapolate that. Let's say you're 3 when that happens, and you had this one sickness, and you're really, I always think it worked opposite for me. I remember, so I'll give you a good story on this. So I remember maybe that's why I don't miss things. I've got perfect attendance all my life after this happened. I think this is why. So I was in kindergarten, I believe, and I ended up getting kindergarten I got chickenpox. So chickenpox comes in, and I'm whining and dining this thing, man. I know, I'm like, oh, I must be the only kid that's ever gotten chickenpox before. And so, I'm sitting there, I'm gonna have to miss school and do the thing, and so I did miss school. And then a little kid, one of my buddies, or these kids felt bad, so they drove by my house and they came with gifts. And I remember as a kindergartner, why would they come with gifts? They're like, oh, the days you missed were all the parties. What? The parties? So it was pretty epic, how I was like, so after that, I was like, I can't miss school again. I might miss the next party. I really believe genetically. After that, my belief was if I miss school, I'm going to miss a party. So maybe it got built in the subconscious program back then, but you could see it may have shaped my behavior, which shaped my environment. So I never really got that sick during school. It's kind of wild that way. But just to give you a good thought process of what happens, though, what happens if I get sick and it's a test, right? That kind of situation. Yeah, that's what's interesting about the whole thing. Okay. All right. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I love this subject. Okay. So I don't know if I'm there yet. So let's go through Lipton's epigenetics. So Lipton's the epigenetics theory that's now science. It's his research into it shows that the cell membranes read the signals from the environment. That's what cell membranes do, including your thoughts and your perceptions, and turns key genes on and off. You're not a victim of DNA, destiny. Your beliefs send the signals. In chiropractic terms, we remove the physical interference so innate intelligence flows. Braden and Lipton's situation show us how to remove the mental and emotional interferences too. So it adds perfectly to chiropractic and all kinds of things. Limiting the beliefs about aging, pain, or my genetics are bad. It's just over. I'm supposed to have bad health. Keep the body in protection mode instead of growth and repair. So one of the things that I want you to understand is your body can have two ways of going about it. The cell only has two responses: growth and protection. That's it. Okay. So either your body is growing, expanding in this universe, or it is trying to keep what it's got. So it's going to protect it at all costs. Okay. So with that, either one of those two, you're going to show different genetic expressions based on what's happening. That's why you understand why it would be tough if you grew up in a tough environment to have great genetics now, or express those. Now, here's one thing that's very profound. Some of the best athletes in the world had some of the worst household situations ever. And a lot of times that was a survival mechanism. Their genetic expression was different because they had to learn how to eat, had to learn how to not, had to run, had to hide, had to steal, had to go fast, whatever the situation was. But maybe their environment growing up wasn't great. Constantly looking for food, like they could be the poorest of the poor, but they became like super athletes because of the genetics that their body turned on for them to accelerate into a situation where they could actually exceed. So if you think about that, you have a lot of like kids that grew up in the inner city, and then they have these, let's say, a rough background, let's say, like super poor, whatever, right? And all of a sudden they get football or basketball or hockey, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. They get this environment where that genetic expression is 80 times better than a kid that's like, the middle class, had no real risk of going hungry one night, those kind of things. Family that loved each other, didn't hear the yelling, screaming, all those kind of things. And so a lot of times you're going to see that, and it makes a lot of sense that the environment and the perceptions of our environment change our genetic, who we are, our genetics and everything. Okay. All right. So let's go on to I'm kind of doing it a different way tonight, guys, so I apologize. Okay. All right. Okay. So here's basically what we're at. So the old paradigm is you're a victim of your genes. And we have this fixed biology that's just there. It's just there. You're fixed in your genetic code, and you just got to live with it. Healing is mostly outside in, so pills, procedures, and hope for the best. The new paradigm is you are the architect. You're the builder of your own health and healing. Spontaneous remissions happen. Placebo effects work, which is crazy that placebo would, right? Unless you have a perception thing. Daily miracles of healing happen when beliefs and perceptions shift the body into coherence. Dr. Lipton and Gregg Braden back it with this ancient wisdom that we've known for many, many years. If you get into one of the biggest things in Gregg Braden, if you get into the divine matrix, for centuries, people at the ancient wisdom of our time knew this stuff. There was a much, much bigger spiritual connection than we currently have today. We almost got talked out of most of this stuff based on the science to try to separate science from the spiritual, which is very strange because it all leads back to the same. We'll have this beautiful science that we can keep studying and keep improving with understanding the spiritual realm. And so in one of his books, Gregg Braden is The Divine Matrix, which we'll talk about quite a bit. We talked about the power of prayer, the power of various belief systems that literally changed the shape of the earth, their environment surrounding them, what they lived in. And so that could be, it's massively an amazing journey we're going to take on this stuff. But one big thing I want to give you tonight is heart intelligence. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Your body is wired for healing when you update the software. That's where we're at. So tonight, we're going to learn a little bit about that and how to do it. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you like this a little better so you're not just staring at words on the thing. We're going to talk about heart-brain coherence. Heart-brain coherence. So this is healing through resonance. Healing through resonance. When we create coherence between the heart and the brain, we access a state of deep healing. This resonance sends a signal through the neural pathways that harmonize our biology. 40,000 sensory neurites in the heart, synchronizing physiological rhythms. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight is we're going to walk through how we're going to do this. Okay. So what is the heart brain coherence? There's this thing called heart math. And one of the biggest things, and we're probably going to touch on it a little bit, when your brain and a heart are in what they call a coherent state. In a meditation, you can kind of feel this, like, how we talk about breathing techniques and, those kind of things. What happens is like you are able to literally set your energy properly to the point where you can be open to this, your environment. So think about your brain and your heart if you're having anxiety over a certain thing, right? So if you have an anxiety kind of situation where, you're overthinking something happened, those kind of things. To have a process that will actually help you determine, get to where we can get this heart coherence back actively going again. It's a good indicator that we're going in the right direction. And that's what it's about. That's what the Heart Math Institute. So the Heart Math Institute has been a thing. You all can get on there if you ever want to, and become a member. They kind of walk you through. There's these great breathing techniques. They even got a little monitor that kind of helps you gain that extra heart-brain coherence as you get better at it. Okay. So it's in the same ballpark as a lot of the different breathing meditations. If you're a member of mine, if we go back a while, There's several different breathing techniques. And the idea is to get your heart. Well, a lot of times it's just to get the entire physiology moving in the right direction, allowing that brain and emotion just to give you that control, right? As you go. And so the heart brain coherence is fantastic. We love it. So this is what we're going to do tonight. And I can't remember if I made a slide for this. Nope. Okay. So we're going to walk through it on this. So here's the first tool we're going to do tonight. Okay. So we are going to try this right now. So we're going to take your hand and put it on your heart. Okay. And then we're going to breathe 5 seconds in. And 5 seconds out. Five seconds in. 5 seconds out. And now that you have that feel, now we're going to have you find this positive emotion. Okay. I'm going to give you a few: gratitude, care, appreciation. Think of that for your mother on Mother's Day. I totally forgot. Happy Mother's Day to everybody, right? Especially my awesome mom. She got what it is. She's not a big flower kid. My mom isn't. So we get her chocolates and she tears it up. It's hilarious. And she's like this big around. It's funnier than crap. But happy Mother's Day, Mother. This hopefully will be a good one. So that'll be my appreciation. So appreciate your mamas. So here we go. So we're going to put our hand on our heart. We're going to breathe in 5 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then breathe out 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do this for like 2 to 3 minutes. You can already feel yourself probably get a little uptick in your emotional scale, right? And that's what I wanted you to understand, is how easy it is. Sometimes we don't have to think of these huge, major, massive shifts. When we're talking about genes and subconscious behaviors and all those, yes, they're going to be difficult, but not always. Sometimes just getting in the patterning of creating heart-brain coherence is what Gregg Braden says, can really alter all aspects of who you are and really, really get you to that point of gratitude, appreciation, into these healing perceptions and behaviors. Because if our human body in this situation is, if our environment and our perception of that environment are the reason for what's about for health and healing in the thought category, wouldn't you want to be in the most health and healing aspect, in good feeling thoughts like gratitude and appreciation pretty much for your entire life? Once you get there, it gets kind of cool. A lot of my patients say, it's so weird. A lot of my patients always say, man, you were just the cheeriest cheer guy ever, even though like last week we were so busy. I felt like I almost laugh nowadays when it gets that way. I go, okay, slow down. It was just like overwhelmingly busy. And so a lot of times, and I'm not perfect on this either, but it's one of those that I want to do this more with each and every patient. If I see them come in, 5 seconds in, just touching your heart, breathing out for 5 seconds, generally feeling a piece of gratitude or care. Because even in a chiropractic or a doctor's office, you go in and because of the environment, some of my people will actually change their perspective to be negative because it's a doctor's office. So I see that all the time. One reason we work on, we're the cheers of chiropractic is what we call it. And everybody knows who you are and how wonderful it is, and we act like it's the old Cheers bar. We do that on purpose. And it's more fun for all of us. I think you get more healing out of that aspect as well. So that is really, really good. So your homework is this. Okay. Oh, wait, let me finish my notes on this one. So we do that for just 2 to 3 minutes a day. We can shift your body from stress chemistry to healing chemistry. Okay. Braden says this creates the electrical and magnetic waves that speak directly to the quantum field of your cells. Braden on coherence. When we form heart-centered beliefs within our bodies, we're speaking to the world around us in each moment of every day through a language that has no words. Oh, that's so good. So homework. Your homework is this. I want you to journal one limiting belief you're carrying right now. And I want you to rewrite it as empowering. So I want you to, one of my listeners, I want you to say, hey, one of my limiting beliefs is my sugar number. I want to make that perfect. I want my sugar number to go away, not be an issue for me. And we're going to write that as empowering, because we're going to go, you know what? We're going to fight through that. We're going to get heart-brain coherence once we feel the stress of that situation. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to write your one limiting belief, and then I want you to reframe it to something good. Okay? All right. I like that one. Okay. All right. Here we go. I think, let me add this back in there. Okay. Sorry, guys. This new way, I'm not so sure yet. I like having my notes off to the side and much prettier pictures. It was driving me nuts that it was just this like thing in there. But remember this, and I can't stress this enough, because we're going to go through it. I want to make sure you understand this epigenetic stuff so that we understand we have to work on this belief system. The belief system is the key. Our subconscious programming acts as software for our biological hardware. By shifting perception, we literally write the code to our own health. And guess who is teaching us that? Jesus. A lot of your biblical references are that, okay? And we have to understand that all of these things is our beliefs and our environment. If we can literally change these beliefs to a belief of healing, to a belief of those things, we can change our world that way. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it tonight. I enjoyed it. It was really good. This is one of my favorite topics. I know it's a little heavy, and it's starting to get nice out. So a lot of times we're going to have a little less of a crowd usually on these things, but I hope this made sense. We're probably going to do, I'm trying to decide if we do episode 1 and then we go into herbal and, like a condition like we normally do, or we just run episode 2 of like through like a series like that. So I haven't figured that out, but hopefully we'll get to there. So with that said, I would like to invite you again to remember the Prize Inside on Rumble, A Chiropractor's Journey, the Prize Inside on YouTube, Chiropractor's Journey, and then also Tribe1, TRIB1.substack.com will get you there. Watch this again. We'll have a nice newsletter attached to it so you can get that brain-heart coherence practice. Remember, hand on heart. Think of a positive, really good appreciation moment. Any of those really good, those kind of vibes. And then take 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, and just think of that, right? Those glorious appreciation moments are where it's at. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed it tonight. I can't wait to keep expanding on it. Depending on how I do with the thumbs up and the likes, on this one in the recording as well. Make sure if you're watching our recording, hit those thumbs up and likes, and then we'll go after it even harder next time. So with that said, guys, you guys have a great night and have a great week of your heart, your brain cohering to this healing capability. If there's good feeling, healing thoughts and bad ones, let's choose the good ones. That'd be great. All right, guys, have a good one.